it is 11 o'clock. Hello, everyone. My name is Beits. I am the proud owner of Gallop Technology Group. We are a 21-year-old managed service provider / IT company / cybersecurity company / customer service company. And we do these webinars because I really love sharing the knowledge and the information. And I really think that it's important for people to stay on top of today's risks and understand where they might fall short. What is it that they can do to protect their businesses? Usually, it doesn't really matter if you're an office manager, a business owner, a CTO, CFO, CIO. Those pieces of advice in these webinars are usually targeted for small and mid-sized businesses. And if you are going to find yourself having any questions about any of these topics, any of this information, please reach out, let me know. The last slide will have my contact information. So without further ado, let's start real quick. So a little bit about me, and that's all you're going to hear about me. I want to share some stats with you. The first thing that I want to make sure that you know is that there's average of almost 2,000 cyber attacks per week in the first quarter of 2025. There's a 47% increase from the same period of 2024. Online crime losses reached $16 billion in last year, 2024, which is a 33% year-to-year increase. The ransomware demands are now average, guess how much? 4.32 million per ransom. That's 63% exceeding 1 million and 30% surpassing 5 million. A small firm, you're a law firm, just so you know, a small firm has a ransomware breach of only 32.4 gigabytes of stolen data. Their fine was $80,000. In 2019, about 85% of the organizations paid the ransom. By the last quarter of 2023, this number dropped from 85 to 29. And that's due to better backup system and due to encryption of the data that is being stolen. And those numbers are just what we know, because it is very possible there's a lot more of small businesses that just don't report those things. I am going to talk about some proactive strategies. Let's start by discussing some of those. Let me pause this real quick. Not sure why, but I'm going to pause this. Let's discuss some of the emerging cyber threats for the SMB, small, medium-sized businesses face today. Phishing attacks are becoming really increasingly sophisticated, usually because of AI. They usually target employees through emails or social media. Ransomware can encrypt your data, of course, and then they demand ransom for the release of the data, or for the hacker to delete your data instead of releasing it in the dark web and selling it to the dark web audience. That will cause huge business disruption, of course, and potential damages if this does happen. Insider threats, whether intentional or not, either unintentional threat is a threat. Those can lead to obviously some data breaches. APTs, which is advanced persistent threats, those are usually long-term targeted attacks by skilled hackers. And zero-day vulnerabilities, we're going to talk about those as well in a little bit. Those are unknown flaws in software that can be exploited by those attackers, or known flaws that can be exploited by attackers before they are patched. One of the main reasons why we always recommend to always keep your computers and phones and tablets up to date. Next, we're going to talk real quick about the proactive strategies. And to tackle these threats, we need to be proactive, obviously. Think of a risk-based vulnerability management as a way to kind of spot and prioritize the most critical vulnerabilities based on their potential impact. There's a lot of vulnerabilities and you just want to prioritize them. So proactive threat intelligence is like having a crystal ball, I guess, that uses data analytics to really foresee and prevent those threats before they happen. Regular security assessments are essential as well. They're used for covering any weak spots in the system. It's also crucial to have employee training and awareness programs so everyone is up to speed on those cybersecurity best practices and today's threats. I don't know if you know, but over 80% of breaches happen because of a user error. So training your team is very important. And please don't forget about the incident response planning. It's all about being ready to handle security incidents efficiently when they occur, and most likely they will occur, small or big. You want to be prepared. We're going to talk about the advanced tools real quick. The advanced tools can really boost your cybersecurity game in your company. I don't care if you're a small or mid-sized business. AI and machine learning are like the super smart assistants. You know, they're analyzing tons of data to spot anomalies, to predict threats. Continuous monitoring is like having a security guard on duty 24/7, always watching you and always watching for any suspicious activity. SIEM, which is the security information and event management. Those systems, they pull together and analyze security data from different sources like Microsoft logs and your firewall router logs in your office, computer logs, and they give you kind of a bird's eye view of your security landscape. And EDR, which is an endpoint detection and response. The EDR solutions are like having a kind of firefighter ready to jump into action. They provide really real-time monitoring and response to the endpoints, to the computers, etc. And they ensure that you're always prepared to tackle any issues if those pass through all the other barriers over there. So building a cyber resilient organization is like fortifying a castle. You know, castles are something we need to build from scratch. So start by creating a security culture where really everyone knows the basic of cybersecurity. Having an incident response plan ready for you to use is like a well-practiced emergency drill, and keep your security policies up to date. So you want to stay ahead of the threat, because what is going to work today as your policy might not be at all efficient or relevant next year. So rule of thumb is that every year, somebody in your company should be in charge of reviewing and updating, if needed, those security policies. Cybersecurity insurance, I can't stress enough how important that is. It's kind of like your safety net in case of a breach. And keep in mind, the damages are not just the data loss or the loss of productivity. There's digital forensics expenses, which are really expensive, and legal issues and notification issues that you have to deal with. Your insurance, cyber insurance company should cover that if you have a good policy and if you check your exclusions page and you actually follow what you said on the application that you're doing. And don't forget to team up with a good cyber expert like Gallop Technology Group, hint, hint, and get some good support. Now, real world examples, there's a Phoenix-based pharmacy, Meteor, I think it's called Meteor Pharmacy. This is a small business that had a cyber attack against them in February of 2024. The attacks obviously just disrupted the operations as one thing, but it made it really difficult for the pharmacy to fill prescription, which is bread and butter of a pharmacy, of course. It brought their operations down to basically standstill. There was sensitive data that was compromised. It affected the patient's ability to get their medication, and this led to a significant financial and reputational damage for that pharmacy. They struggled to serve their customers, obviously, maintain revenue stream when they're not able to fill up those prescriptions. And it's it's a pretty big, important reminder that cybersecurity for small business is important. This pharmacy had 4 computers in it and 10 employees, if I'm not wrong. Can happen to anybody. Another example is the Federal Public Defender's Office in Phoenix. It actually happened just a couple months ago. This office was hit by ransomware, and the data backup was disrupted also. And they delayed at least one trial that we know of by several months. the attacks had a really profound impact for the defendants. I'm sorry, and they are still waiting on justice because of this reputational damage and the cyber attacks. Emergency. So having the preparation for it is great, but the understanding of the cyber threats is also the top of the line. So if you don't understand where the threats are coming from, you're way behind. Phishing is one type of cyber attack that the attackers attempt to trick individuals into providing sensitive information. There's common tactics that include sending fraudulent emails that appear to be from a legitimate source. For example, you as a small business might receive an email that appears to be from one of your vendors requesting a payment, or a client that is telling you that they need the password to log into the portal. So to prevent those attacks, you want to educate your employees how to recognize those suspicious emails, and you want to use good email filtering and always implement multi-factor authentication on everything that you can. That will drastically help even if a password is provided for a hacker and they don't use it for a week because they don't want to give up that they are accessing your data. Two-factor authentication will be great to have. Ransomware is another emerging threat. Obviously, it's a type of malware that encrypts your data, and then they demand ransom for the release of the data. So the attackers usually use the phishing emails, or they use the vulnerabilities that they found on your system and exploit them, and then they deliver the ransomware. There are a lot of examples out there that we can bring up, but the most important part is to prevent ransomware. You want to make sure you regularly back up your data. You want to keep your software up to date and use the advanced threat detection. All of those tools we spoke about initially, they will contribute to the prevention and protection. Another cyber threat is the insider threat we spoke about, and that's going to be when an individual within the organization will cause harm, either intentionally or accidentally. Intentional threats may involve malicious actions, while accidental threats, they can result from negligence. An example is an employee accidentally sent sensitive data to the wrong recipient. Then that's a data breach. Or an employee on purpose uploaded a list of all of your clients before they move on and start working for your competitor. To prevent insider threats, you want to implement access controls. You want to conduct regular security training and monitor user activity. I know it's not easy these days with cloud, etc., but it's doable. And the advice over here is usually to give only the really needed access to the data to the people that actually need it. Not everybody needs access for everything, including, and most specifically, historical data should not be available for everybody to access if they don't have any need for it. Another emerging cyber threat is APT, and that is advanced persistent threat. We spoke about that briefly. Those are long-term targeted attacks that usually are done by skilled hackers. APTs usually involve sophisticated techniques, and they aim to steal sensitive information, obviously. For example, if you have somebody that's continuously trying to attack you, they might spend weeks or months or maybe years try to find a compromised machine in your network and find maybe a compromised account on your Microsoft or Google tenant, and then they will steal the data slowly or all at once. It might take months before all the data is stolen from you so they don't raise any alerts. To prevent those APTs, you need to use advanced threat detection tools. You also need to conduct regular security assessments for your company and implement strong access controls. Again, not every person should have access to every piece of data. Zero-day vulnerabilities. Those are unknown flows in software that can be exploited by the attackers before they are patched, right? They're unknown to you. Attackers often use those zero-day exploits to gain unauthorized access, of course, to systems. And for example, a popular software application had a zero-day vulnerability that was exploited by the attackers to steal data. And that can happen from Adobe, that can happen from Google Chrome or Firefox or any program that is installed on your computer that is not patched, and there is a vulnerability that's part of it. Hackers will know about it, and they will try to use that vulnerability to gain a backdoor to your data, to your network. To prevent those, you want to keep your software up to date. You want to use advanced threat detection tools, and again, implement strong access controls. If somebody did get in, that doesn't mean they have to have access to everything. And risk-based vulnerability management is the first proactive strategy I want to talk about. That involves identifying and prioritizing vulnerabilities based on their potential impact. This is an approach that that helps organizations like yours focus on the most critical threats. One example is a small business implemented risk-based vulnerability management to address the high-risk vulnerabilities first. That improved their overall security posture by a lot. So you might run a scan with a software. You might hire a company to run a scan for you. They're going to find maybe 300 vulnerabilities on your network. You might need to worry about the first 10 or the first 15. That is kind of like how you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. It can be very overwhelming. Make sure you talk to your IT provider about vulnerability management and how to patch those if they're found. Best practices will include conducting those regular vulnerability assessments and using automated tools that your IT provider should have, and make sure you collaborate with your cybersecurity experts. Predictive threat intelligence. This is another proactive strategy. That's when you use data analytics to anticipate and mitigate threat before they occur. This is an approach that helps organizations stay ahead of the emerging threats. For example, there's a mid-sized business we kind of consulted with. They used the predictive threat intelligence to identify potential threat, and they found that based on the information that was provided from these analytics, there was a pretty big threat on their network, and they were able to proactively take the measures to reduce that risk of a cyber attack. And this is basically information that was gathered regarding where the data resides. Like a simple example will be, they had a bunch of users that like to share data on Dropbox, but they don't really use Dropbox for the company, while the company offers OneDrive. And then we have users that use Google Drive to share data because it's more convenient for them. So having that information is just a good example of how you can predict and prevent those. There are a couple of things that we can do to help you, and I would love for you to take advantage of it. So there is a complimentary domain and email security assessment that we offer. It is important because it will prevent email spoofing, and it will protect you against phishing attacks if you have the right email protection and security in place. You will also improve the email deliverability and build customer trust. So basically, your emails will be more authenticated and secure going out, as secure as they are coming in. And you can see really a lot more about your email activity, how many spam emails every person gets, how many emails are maybe circling out in the dark web that you need to know about, and what information is potentially being leaked or stolen from your company through emails. So if you scan this QR code over here or go to this URL, we'll be happy to help you set it up. There's no strings attached. We'll just deliver the report for you and talk to you about it for a couple of minutes, and that's it. Please take advantage of that. There's also a hacking demo that I created, and I think it's going to be wonderful for everybody to see. And it's basically from a Word document, gaining full access to somebody's computer by somebody just opening a Word document. And social engineering is part of that, and I show how we created basically a little tricky HR trick to gain the access. And very, very cool little example. I want to conclude that proactive cybersecurity measures are really essential for any size businesses to protect your organization, really. That there's so many threats out there and they keep changing all the time. We discussed those emerging cyber threats, the proactive strategies, and the advanced tools, the building cyber resilient organizations. By implementing those measures, by the way, reminder, you can really reduce your risk of those cyber attacks and ensure the business continuity. Every hour of downtime costs you a lot of money, and not having good cyber insurance in place will potentially be devastating for your company. No cyber insurance company will qualify you for a policy unless you do their basic bare minimum, which keeps changing all the time and becoming more and more, and rightfully so. So I am more than happy to answer any questions. And if you want to discuss what you already have, you want to take advantage of an audit that we can do for you, check out my landing page over here. My email and other information is linked over there. Social media links are there as well. And I'm happy to take some questions if you have any via email, or just schedule time on my online calendar, which is also on that landing page. We are way ahead of schedule, and I'm thankful for your time. I'm happy I didn't talk too fast because I didn't have too many topics I want to cover, but I think that's more than enough for one day. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day and stay safe.